Hey everybody, it's Jason Blahall with Ice Cream Fitness here. A few days ago, I made a video talking about how the fitness industry in general is geared towards scamming people out of their money and having them spend money on things that they don't necessarily need to reach their goals. And what I'm going to do today, rather than just leave everyone hanging, I'm going to do this as a response. I'm going to make at least a 3-part series here. And what I'm going to do is in a few very short videos, I'm going to break down the basics. 90% of what people need to know, the majority of people, the 99% of non-competitors need to know to reach their fitness goals. Or at the very least, their physique goals. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. And I'll be doing this as a video response to my other video so that you guys can find it easy enough. But this one is going to be part 1, and I want to talk to you guys about supplements. And let's make this perfectly clear. Supplements, for the most part, there are almost no amount of supplements you can add to your diet if you're doing everything right and you have a perfect, textbook perfect diet written by a sports physiologist. You're not going to gain anywhere near even a pound of muscle in a full year from adding supplements in if you're doing everything right. But the reality is most of us aren't. Supplements do have their use for convenience. So let's cover some of the basics of supplements. First of all, basic vitamins and minerals. Hopefully most of us are eating enough fruits and vegetables, but if you don't, or if you're concerned that you don't, adding in a multivitamin isn't a bad idea. The only thing I would be aware of is that throwing a multivitamin in that has the full daily allowance of the various metals like zinc, iron, etc., when you already are on a fairly high calorie diet, can be a concern because you can overdose on those metals, or you can take in so many of certain metals that you don't absorb other ones that you need, and you can create dietary imbalances. So be aware of that. And there are vitamins that you can get toxic amounts of. So don't go crazy on the multivitamins. Just find a cheap one. It doesn't even need to have 100% of the daily recommended amount on it. Maybe take one on the days to where you know you're not getting enough fruits and vegetables. And for me, I keep a cheap multivitamin on hand. It's nothing special, but it's not something I take every day. I take it on days when I don't eat any veggies, which is once a week, once every 2 weeks, if that. So it's something I rarely take. That one bottle lasts me more than a year. It will expire before I use it all up accordingly. But it's not a bad idea to have around just for convenience. Now, if you don't get enough sunlight, vitamin D3 is a must. If you live in a darker country like I do here in the UK, I walk outside every day for a couple of hours, and I've been tanning lately, and this is as dark as I can get in the summertime. So that gives you an idea of how dark this country is. You're not going to get away with not taking D3 here. But if you live in a brighter country where you get plenty of sunlight, you're outside, you have a job that has you outside or in the sunlight 7 or 8 hours a day because you have a big window in your office and you're there in the sunlight, all right, fair enough. You may not need one. So you need to assess that on a case-by-case basis. But I consider vitamin D3, depending on where you live in the world, to be an almost essential supplement. And in the winter time, I do consider it to be an essential supplement. Now, fish oil is going to be something useful. If you don't eat any cold water fish, taking 3 fish oil capsules a day, regular strength ones, is probably not a bad idea. That's what I personally do. Just for the EPA and DHA. This is beneficial, this is cheap, and it has documented health benefits. It may not affect your gains, it may not affect your body composition, but it will affect your health. So we're talking about something for general health here. But be leery of overdosing them. If you're taking 10 of these a day and you're not under the care of a physician, this is a bad idea. Creatine is another one that may be potentially useful. There seems to be a fair amount of documentation on it. Now, I don't think creatine does a lot. Again, it comes down to how much are you willing to spend for an extra ounce of muscle a year. I remain unconvinced that creatine is going to put 5 pounds of muscle on you in your lifting career, let's be honest. But if you just want that little bit of an edge, you're looking to gain that extra half an ounce of muscle per year, and you don't eat a lot of red meat, creatine's not a bad idea. Now, if you're someone who eats a steak every day, you're probably going to be in that creatine non-responder group, simply because you probably get a decent amount of creatine in your diet. So if your budget allows for creatine and it's fairly cheap, throw in a scoop of creatine every day. If you see results from it, keep using it. If it doesn't seem to help you, then don't waste the $10 a month on it. Even with pre-workouts, here's my concern with pre-workouts. As you guys know, I consider a lot of pre-workouts to be drugs. I don't consider them to be any different than someone who's using gear. And everyone says, oh, steroids, steroids. No, I'm not talking about oral steroids. I'm talking about injectables. That testosterone, I feel, in moderation, is safer than a lot of the pre-workouts that are on the market. That's my take on it. And on top of that, it begs the question of why do you people need such strong pre-workouts? If you're at a point to where your sensitivity to stimulants and your adrenal glands cannot be massively stimulated by some strong black coffee before you work out, and you need something stronger than that, then I think it's time for you to back off the pre-workouts completely, back off the stimulants, and let your adrenal glands and your receptors have a break, because you shouldn't need anything stronger than that. And furthermore, the improved performance gleaned from doing this versus the risk of fatiguing your central nervous system through your training and the recovery cycles, I remain unconvinced that the performance gains from using pre-workouts necessarily lead to improved muscle growth or strength down the road. I think that is an unproven. So you may be putting yourself at risk, and you may not actually be getting anything out of it. And the same goes for a lot of other things that supposedly improve performance. It's one thing to note that they give you a slight performance boost, but that does not guarantee that it's causing actual benefits to you over time as far as your progress. So put that in perspective. The only other supplement I would even really consider at this point would be some protein powders. If you do not get enough protein in your diet because you just don't like meat, you don't like other things, or you need the convenience of it, fine, use some protein shakes to help get your protein needs, but it's not something you should necessarily need to do every day for most people. But if you want to do it and replace some of the meat in your diet or the other dairy in your diet with some protein powders, that's fine. But remember, there's nothing magical about them. There's nothing special about them compared to just eating normal food. They're purely an issue of convenience. Alright guys, but that covers the basics of supplements, and I consider just about anything else to be a waste of money as far as supplements go. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.